Dim sum is one of the greatest things on earth, and I'd pay any price for it. But would you pay this? Well, how about this? I'd pay that. At this point, inflation's doing better than my sourdough starter. And that's why today's video is sponsored by Chime. Chime is an award-winning financial app and debit card that millions of Americans use to manage, save, and spend their money. Even people on the team use it. Thanks for being financially savvy, Vikram. Look, I know we're talking about food, but food can get expensive, and that's why Chime is helpful. It gives you the resources to make smart decisions that are important to your financial well-being. Plus, don't you like not being stressed literally like all the time? Chime offers fee-free overdraft on up to $200 in debit card purchases and cash withdrawals with SpotMe for eligible members. Members can also get their paychecks up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Best of all, applying for Chime is completely free. Learn more about Chime by visiting the link in the description. Now, back to the video.
Prepare yourself and take a look at our dim sum spread. We've got chung fun, which if you've never had these, they're insane. Char siu bao, but wait a minute, baked, like little rolls of goodness. Classic steamed pork dumpling, turnip cake, and a beautiful sticky rice in a corn husk. Keep it cheap. Look, let's start easy. Pork dumpling. We already have a recipe for the dough, link in the description for that, but hey, you could also just go buy wrappers already made. I'll pretend that I'm just not looking. Very simple, medium-sized bowl, add in 1 pound or 450 grams of ground pork, or ground chicken, whatever you want. Pork is better though, because fat. 2 thinly sliced green onions, 3 cloves of garlic finely chopped, optionally half a teaspoon or 3 grams of toasted sesame oil, and 1 tablespoon or 17 grams of soy sauce. Mix together till combined, and look, it's real simple. You get a dumpling wrapper, place a heaping teaspoon of meat in the center, wet the perimeter with water, close it like a taco, pinching it in the middle at the top, and pleat both sides 3 to 4 times. To cook, you put them in a steamer basket, set over a pot with a shallow amount of water in the bottom simmering, close the lid and steam for 8 to 10 minutes. Well, that's dumpling. You could add a little sesame oil on top, chili oil, whatever you want. Now I want to talk about these rice noodles, the chung fun. These are something special. They're tedious to make at first, but once you make 1 or 2, it's easy. First, we need to make the batter. Real easy. Medium-sized bowl, add just under a cup or 120 grams of rice flour, 2 tablespoons or 15 grams of cornstarch, and a 1/4 teaspoon or half a gram of fine sea salt. Whisk together till combined, and then finally, add a little over 2 cups or 500 milliliters of water, whisk together, and once combined, let that rest for 20 minutes. Now, while that's resting, we're gonna make our mushrooms. You're gonna need half a pound or 225 grams of mushrooms. Whoa, Josh, that's a trumpet mushroom? What is this, rich boy hours? Listen, there's a secret to getting nice mushrooms for a good price, and that is to go to a local Asian market and check the prices. You may very well get these mushrooms for borderline the same price as a regular old button mushroom. But if you can't find them for a good price, then you can go with whatever you can afford. Dice your mushrooms into 1/2-inch cubes, get a large stainless steel pan, heat over medium-high, add just enough oil to coat the pan, add in your mushrooms, and sear for 2 to 3 minutes, tossing occasionally until they're lightly brown, but still have a little bit of texture. Then add in 1 cup or 75 grams of rough chopped cabbage, toss till just wilted, then add a splash of soy sauce, just to taste, toss again, and that is your mushroom. Now, here's a technique. You can do this with a number of things, but I really recommend doing it with an 1/8 sheet tray like this. You need to brush it with a thin veneer of vegetable oil. And then you're gonna pour just enough batter to create a microscopic layer that coats the entire thing. And here's how you steam it. Large wok, add a shallow amount of water into the wok. Then using a trivet, or you can use balls of foil, or if whatever you have just fits in there without touching the bottom, great. Bring the water up to a boil over medium-high. Reduce the heat to low so it's a nice light simmer. Add in your battered tray, cover with foil, and let it steam for 2 to 3 minutes or till just firmed up. Remove, let it cool completely. Then all you gotta do is add a little bit of your mushroom mix to 2/3 of it, then carefully roll it over itself over and over to create a nice doit rice roll. That's pretty much it. Look, you're gonna need some practice when you do it, but repeat with as many rice rolls as you want. You pop them onto a plate and top with anything, but ideally a little bit of chili oil, whatever you have on hand. That's the whole point here. Next one might have you scratching your head. Turnip cake? Ew, Josh, what the croissant is that? Listen, this blew my mind. I'm not gonna lie. First, you need 1 pound or 450 grams of daikon. It's a big boy. Peel that bad boy and grate over the coarse side of a cheese grater. Separately, you're gonna need 3 dried shiitake mushrooms. Pour boiling hot water over them, weigh them down with a ramekin, let them sit for 10 minutes till rehydrated, remove, wring out the water, and dice. Turnip cake can kind of be sort of an everything in the kitchen sink kind of thing, but you have to adhere to a few rules. First, get a wok ripping hot. Add in a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil to coat the bottom. Once that's hot, optionally add in a handful of rough chopped cured meat. Now, what does that mean? Any sort of cured meat that you have. It could even be pre-cooked meat, really. Let that sear till it gets a little bit of color. Then add 3 cloves of rough chopped garlic, 1 shallot thinly sliced or diced. Stir fry just until it begins to turn translucent. Then add in your daikon, stir and saute. Add a touch of white pepper to taste. And at this point, if you have any seasonings you want to add, you got mushroom powder, great. You want a little splash of soy sauce, great. You don't have any of that? Totally fine. Continue cooking till most of the liquid is evaporated, then toss in your mushrooms and turn the heat off. Now for the batter. Medium-sized bowl, add in 1 1/4 cup or 170 grams of rice flour, 1 tablespoon or 9 grams of cornstarch, 3/4 of a teaspoon or 3 grams of sugar, half a teaspoon or 1 gram of salt, whisk together till combined, then whisk in 1 cup or 240 milliliters of water. Once that's nice and smooth and homogeneous. Add in your turnip mixture, stir together, and you're nearly done. Get yourself a small bread pan, coat it generously with cooking spray, and you can do the exact same steamer setup in your wok that we did before. Fill with water, get it steaming, add in your filled bread pan, cover with foil, and let that steam for 25 to 30 minutes. Yes, you will need to replenish the steaming water if you don't, it'll run out, and then, oh my gosh, why is there smoke everywhere? Be careful. Now, once that's done, cool that completely, then invert your jiggly loaf. Slice into slices, and then at this point, you'll just sear those in a pan that's been lightly coated with oil until you get a beautiful crispy crust. This is a life-changing thing, right? Turnip cake doesn't sound that good. Turns out I'm actually a huge fan now. Now, I know you've been waiting for this. Let's talk about these bow. Bow, 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 bow. How can I help myself here? You know, come on. First, our dough. In a large bowl, add in 4 cups or 600 grams of bread flour, a quarter cup or 56 grams of sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons or 11 grams of fine sea salt, and stir together till combined. Now, in a separate container, add 1 cup or 240 grams of whole milk, 2/3 of a cup or 150 grams of heavy cream. I know it's weird, but it works here. Heat that to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, then whisk in 1 tablespoon or 12 grams of instant yeast. Whisk till the yeast is dissolved, and then whisk in 1 whole egg until homogeneous. Now add your wet mixture to your dry, mix by hand till it starts to come together, and if it's too loose, you can always add a little bit more flour if needed. Speaking of kneading things, once that dough comes together, you're gonna knead by hand for about 3 to 5 minutes or until beautifully smooth and voluptuous. Now cover that with plastic wrap and rise for 1 hour or until doubled. Now while those bad boys are rising, we have to make our pork filling. Now first you're gonna need 2 cups of rough chopped char siu. Now hold on, you wanna use char siu? Totally fine. You can either use leftover meat or you can make your own. To make your own, you'll need 1.5 pounds or 680 grams of boneless pork Boston butt. Slice it into 1-inch thick slices. Then separately in a bowl, you're gonna combine 3 cloves of finely chopped garlic, a quarter cup or 55 grams of granulated sugar, 1.5 teaspoons or 5 grams of Chinese 5-spice, which, big tip on the 5-spice, if you go to a place that sells it in bulk, you don't have to buy a whole bottle for like $5. Instead, you can purchase exactly what you need for less than $1. 1 teaspoon or 4 grams of kosher salt, 2 tablespoons or 33 grams of oyster sauce, that's optional, 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of soy sauce, and optionally, 1/8 of a teaspoon of red food coloring. Now look, this does absolutely nothing for the flavor. It's a thing done in many restaurants to get that typical red exterior. Finally, 2 tablespoons or 45 grams of honey, mix together until combined. Toss your pork in that, cover it, and let it marinate in the fridge for 1 hour and up to overnight. Once you're ready to cook, snag yourself a baking sheet, top of the wire rack, add your pork to the wire rack, fill the bottom with about 2 cups of boiling water, and place it in an oven set to 425 Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. Now hang on, don't throw away your marinade yet. Probably should have said that earlier. After that 15 minutes, you're gonna take out your meat, brush both sides with the marinade, cook for 10 more minutes, then raise the temperature to 475, brush an additional time if needed, and cook for 3 more minutes or until caramelized on the outside and lightly charred. Good lord, look at that. God dang. And it's juicier and more tender than any char siu you ever had in your life. You're welcome. Heat up about 2 to 3 tablespoons in a large wok over high heat. Once that's ripping hot, you're gonna add 2 rough chopped shallots, a little bit of salt to taste, stir fry till it starts to soften, then add in 2 cups of rough chopped char siu, stir fry till hot and starting to get a little bit of color, then add in 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons or 45 grams of soy sauce, a little splash of white distilled vinegar, another little splash of toasted sesame oil. Bring that bad boy to a boil. Then in a separate container, you're gonna whisk together 3/4 of a cup or 180 grams of chicken stock and 1 3/4 of a tablespoon or 21 grams of all-purpose flour. That's right, folks. If you hadn't guessed already, this is not gluten-free. Now add your chicken stock mix to your boiling wok, stir, and continuously stir fry until that thickens beautifully. Now taste test that, add additional soy sauce as needed. Then once that's thickened to your liking, cut off the heat and stir in 2 thinly sliced green onions, 2 cloves of garlic minced, and it should be beautifully fragrant. And finally, it's done. Now make sure that that's cooled completely. Then once your dough has risen from its grave, look at the little man, so cute. Mwah. Then punch all the yeast fart out of your dough. Sorry, pretty much what it is. Divide the dough into 60-gram balls, which will get you about 16 equal pieces. Roll each of those into a light bowl and let them rest for 10 minutes. Once your dough balls have rested, roll those bad boys out into a disc that's about 4 to 5 inches wide. Fill with just under a tablespoon of your pork mixture. Carefully wrap that disc around, closing all the seams. Roll into a light ball. Place it on a parchment-lined baking sheet and repeat with the rest. Now you can only fit around this many on a baking sheet, so you may need 2 baking sheets, totally fine. But once those are all done, cover with greased plastic wrap and let that proof for 30 to 45 minutes or until festively plump. Now we're ready to bake. Brush those bad boys with egg wash consisting of 1 egg plus 1 tablespoon of water. Whisk together till homogeneous. Brush each and every little ball. And of course, optionally, if you want, you can totally add sesame seeds to the top of each. This does 2 things. A, it adds texture and flavor, but B, it also looks like a cute little burger bun that has a surprise inside. Now place that into an oven that's been set to 375 Fahrenheit and bake for 15 to 20 minutes. Remove, and then optionally, you can brush with a sugar syrup, which if you want to know how we made it, you're going to take 2 tablespoons or 28 grams of sugar, mix that with 2 tablespoons or 28 milliliters of water. Heat it in a small pot till dissolved, and well, that's it. You can use that to brush. But I mean, look at these things. You tear this open and the steam is erupting out of it. You can smell the char siu wafting through your air conditioning vents. I mean, this is a beautiful thing, let me tell you. I want you to listen very closely to me. I love you all, but if you've never had sticky rice at a dim sum cart, you're missing a major cornerstone of what it means to be alive. Now, typically they're wrapped in lotus leaf. That's not exactly butt cheaper friendly, but you know what it is? A corn husk. I know, not traditional, but we gotta use something here, pal. So first you'll need about 6 to 7 corn husks. Soak them in hot water for 10 minutes. Then separately get yourself a steamer basket, line the bottom with parchment paper, then rassle yourself 1 1/4 cup or 275 grams of glutinous rice. You know the drill, folks. Wash your rice thoroughly, and then this time, you're gonna place your rice in a container, add just enough water to cover, and let that soak for 1 hour. Once it's done, drain it, place your soaked rice onto your parchment-lined bamboo steamer. Get yourself a medium-sized pot, fill it with about 2 inches of water, bring it to a boil, reduce the heat to medium-low, and place your bamboo steamer on top with its lid, and let that brother steam for 20 minutes. Now, while that's steaming, we're gonna make our sauce and our chicken. Small bowl. Add 2 teaspoons or 8 grams of sugar, 2 tablespoons or 36 grams of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of white vinegar. Whisk that together, and then while constantly whisking, finish with 1½ teaspoons or 5 grams of cornstarch. Once that's dissolved, cut 3 boneless and skinless chicken thighs into bite-sized pieces. Then in a wok or a large pan, heat just enough vegetable oil to coat the bottom over medium-high, and add your chicken and sear until you get some light browning, about 2 to 3 minutes. Now add all of your sauce. Now once your chicken's browned, and for the most part cooked through, don't worry, it doesn't have to be fully cooked, and I'll explain why in a second. Let that boil, and once it thickens, add additional salt to taste, turn the heat off, and add 2 cloves of finely chopped garlic, and toss until fragrant like the garlic meadows. Now, to assemble, get a soaked corn husk, add a small bed of rice in the center, followed by a spoonful of your chicken, top with additional rice, wrap it up nicely, and tie with either a piece of additional corn husk or kitchen twine if you have it. Once your corn husks are stuffed, add them back to your bamboo steamer and steam again for another 15 to 20 minutes. Open it up to a nice little bundle of parcels that await. What could be in them? Is it a little present for Papa? Turns out, it's a little present for you. Now, I've got a good feeling this was all worth it, so let's hop on our dim sum cart, tool it around, and see how we did.
You know, dim sum is best shared with people, so I went to the local abandoned mall to find some new friends to share it with. Oh, got stuck here. Oh, hey Kendrick, what do you do? This one? Okay. We've got a lot of different dim sum here, all right? Steamed dumpling, simple. Pretty sure it's haunted, and I'm extremely uncomfortable. But I'll tell you what, these dumplings ain't uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't taste like no butt cheaper to me. Salty, perfect, good chew on the dumpling dough. I want one of these baked bao. It looks like a little hamburger bun. Soft, perfect. Here's the thing, baked bao, albeit traditional or not, will absolutely change your mind about what you think a bao should be. This is scrumptious. I mean, the outside, unbelievably soft. You got that burnished sort of bun quality, but the inside, immediately you're like, oh my God, wait, this is bao? Sticky rice. You get kind of like a little bit of a corn masa flavor, which I like. Corn husk you can find anywhere, and it adds flavor. Okay. What? This guy, I don't have any chopsticks. That might be my favorite. Chung fun. That hits different. The most tender, silky dumpling you've ever had, enrobing. Really whatever you put inside it. In this case, we have a sort of a vegetarian filling, but you could go with pork, you could go with beef. Pick the cheapest vegetable you got, make it taste good. Turnip cake, seared nicely. The turnip cake almost acts as a palate cleanser while simultaneously being this salty, sort of nice little concoction. In a way, I kind of feel like it completes this. But at the end of the day, this is a dim sum cart, and this isn't even the full portion. There's more in the kitchen. I can't think of a better meal. But in that process, be sure to take care of your financial health, and thankfully, Chime will be there for you when you need it most. And remember, get your paycheck, benefits, stimulus check up to 2 days earlier with direct deposit. Finally, put an end to the mess of sitting down, looking at your bank account and being like, I had ice cream, and they're overdrafting me? Not with Chime. Chime offers fee-free overdraft on up to $200 in debit card purchases, cash withdrawals with SpotMe for eligible members. So again, thank you to Chime for sponsoring today's video, but you wanna know what else is financially literate? B-roll.